All right, so now if you open up your rough draft from yesterday, this is the last thing you have to do with an FSA essay. If you are sitting there taking the FSA writing test, which won't happen until next year, you want to know how to edit your work. Remember, we've talked about editing and revising. Part of it's punctuation, capitalization, but a lot of it too is adding and deleting items. And if you're taking this with a paper and pencil, you're crossing it off with your paper, with your pencil, and you're adding stuff above it on the actual piece of paper. On a computer, I know it looks a little different. The skills are still the same. You're reading it to see if it makes sense, cutting parts out, adding parts to make it make more sense or sound better. Part of what you get graded on is called evidence and elaboration. So you've already done that, where you use evidence from the article and then you use your own words to talk a little bit more about that evidence. Another part that you get graded on in the real FSA is called conventions. So that's simple. You've already been practicing that. Capitalization, punctuation, grammar, they give you 2 points for that. Okay, so let's get reading, and I'll fix mine. You can pause as you go and fix yours. One of the things is a paragraph has to be indented. I put my cursor in front of it and hit tab on a keyboard to indent my paragraph. It says, "How do you feel about school uniforms? Some children are very upset." See, for you is, it generally should not use the word you. So you can say, how should one feel about school uniforms? Some children are very upset that Volusia County Schools voted yes for uniforms. Other people see that uniforms can help. Now here, I'm reading my story aloud. You should be doing the same thing. During a test, you can't do that, but you can certainly say it to yourself very quietly. They help students feel equal to their classmates. You can do this quietly to yourself, and I don't think you'd be distracting too many people. It probably depends on the different classrooms, though. You should be reading it slowly and carefully, though. It says, they help students feel equal to their classmates, and they help each child focus on their schoolwork. It is easy to get upset when adults make big decisions that change the way school works. I'm going to say, yeah, school works, that's fine. But when you look at all the reasons, the decisions are much more reasonable. So reasons and reasonable, I don't like that. So I'm going to change it to understandable. And if this was a paper pencil test, you'd see me cross off the word reasonable and above it write the word understandable. This is a new paragraph, so I have to hit the tab key and indent it. In school, children can be mean. See, another thing you get graded on is a more academic or flowery vocabulary, so I changed it to cruel. In school, children can be cruel. They are not always trying to make others feel left out, but this can happen from time to time. If uniforms were used, the effect would be lessened. This cruelty would decrease. Okay. I don't know if that's better, but I want to do it differently. First of all, the author of The Right to Be the Same article states that uniforms, I don't know why that does that, are a way to make sure that all students feel the same. If students are allowed to dress differently, it makes sense that they would feel differently. Some kids cannot afford very fancy and expensive clothes. It might be a better word for fancy. Very elaborate. No. Because in the real test, you would not have access to hit this button here. Extravagance, good. I got my memory was jogged. So it's okay that we hit it on Microsoft Word, because if we practice that now, then those words get stuck in our head when it's test time. Extravagant and expensive clothes. This would make them feel bad when they see that other children can afford nicer things. I'm going to change it to items. In other words, the author of The Right to Be the Same article means that no child should be picked on because of their clothes. That is not what school is meant for. School is not meant to be a fashion show. I'm going to change it to is. School is not a fashion show. Stronger. It is a place for learning. Okay, let's put a tab here. Education. That's fun. Education is the most important part of a child's day. That being said, school leaders are trying to help children focus on only school. Only school. I'll leave it there. Incidentally, the author of the Fashion Do's and Don'ts article tells that school leaders get behind the rule, hoping that, let's say, the uniform rule, hoping that uniforms will help students to stay on task during the day. Can you imagine how difficult it would be to do well in school if there were bullies distracting you about your shoes or your outfit? In fact, Principal Megan Mannion says that she thinks uniforms will help students focus on their education and not on the latest trends not education and not the latest trends. That's why you got to read it slower. She says this, okay, so help students focus on their education and not the latest trends in the article Fashion Do's and Don'ts. It seems obvious that children would have an easier time focusing when they are not comparing themselves to what the other students are wearing. This is why many school officials are pushing to have uniforms. I'm going to change this to urging to have uniforms in their places of education. If uniforms allow students to feel equal and help grades improve, it is clear that they were the correct choice. Time will tell whether this slight change affects students in Volusia County schools. Supporters hope to see academic improvements with our students. Supporters. I'm going to change this to make this stronger. No, they will see. So then it's not like we're hoping, we don't know if we made the right choice, but they're confident and they know they will see academic improvement with their students. So now that we're done, like yesterday, go to the top, hit File, Save As, Computer, and then it should, if you did this yesterday, have the ELA folder at the top. If not, you go to Desktop, you find your ELA folder, and the only thing you need to change is the word rough. Change it to the word final. So now mine says school uniform final draft parody. Hit save. You come back to your assignment, add submission, be super duper patient, hit the plus sign for the file, not the folder, but the file. Choose the file, and if your computer is as awesome as mine, it remembered the last folder I was in. Pretend it's not super awesome. You click Desktop, the folder you saved it in ELA, and be careful to click on Final Draft, not Rough Draft. Click Open, and then upload this file. When you see the picture of the file right here, scroll to the bottom and hit Save Changes.